So again, welcome back to me, welcome back to Thailand. Chubaluta here from Thailand. It is 1 hour here in Thailand, which is Saturday, and it's a lovely sunny day here. Not as warm as it is in the summertime, but a lot of phalanx will come out and be quite happy with the weather. So for instance, even though I've got a bit of a fan here going on, etc., it's just basically just to keep the flies at bay, more than anything else, and so I'm not particularly hot. But anyway, but let's move on. Anyway, so it's game day. It's coming towards midday here in Thailand, etc. Game won't be on for another 10 hours, so it'll be 10 p.m. Local time, Thai time, etc. Before I can watch the game. 3 p.m. UK time. Saturday, and and we've had the press conferences of Bale's Pep and Chelsea manager as well as our opponents, and listen to media, etc. So for instance, on that really, I'm surprised LB and a few others didn't do a more of a press conference regarding this, but never mind, they're probably busy. Listen to Typical City, he was talking about it, and so for instance, but I think listen to Maresca's press conference. He was saying, no, I'm contracted 2029. Okay, so he squandered it, and for instance, he was basically saying, no, nothing to do with me, and I'm not moving to City. No. Okay, so then we all moved up. We're waiting for Pep. So Pep had a press conference, and normally we talk about the game against West Ham, etc. Only to find out that was supposed most of the questions were about his leaving, and he kind of says, well, listen, I've been here before, I've done it before, I've got a contract until 2027, blah blah. If I say I've got to go, I'm got to go, whatever. And he kind of put the whole thing to bed again. So you kind of saying, all right, fair enough, okay. So maybe there was something in it, maybe there was something else. Then I was listening to, before I went to sleep, what was his name, Simon Bielski, the Manchester News Man City podcast, etc. So because I listened to The Athletic, and I listened to David Ernstein, because they had a big thing about it, and Maresca and City and Bep and everything. So because he was sat there saying no, he's got this on really good authority and blah 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 and everything. So but since listened to The Athletic and listened to David Ornstein, listened to them chatting about it, since then Maresca said no, club hasn't come out with a statement or anything. The Pep's come around and said nah, so okay, fair enough, could be something or nothing. Then again, for instance, I was listening to Simon Bielski before I went on Typical City, or the Manchester News version. Anyway, so. And he was basically kind of saying there was a lot. It wasn't just a kind of rumour, maybe one reporter's got it, maybe two. It was just that David Ornstein broke it. But it appears that there was a lot of, the noise was very big, very loud, very huge. To say that's just Pep's last season, and for instance, Maresca is being sounded out to be the manager. And he says, and in the two camps, I'm in this camp of the reporters. Now, why should I believe Sam Bielski over Pep Guardiola? Well, again, for instance, I was listening to after it, on reported, and for instance, on I think Sky had their press debate, etc., and they were talking about it. And they were clearly saying, well, why would Pep come out and say it? And they were referring to Ferguson, etc., when he said, I'm leaving, or Klopp when he said he was leaving, and the downturn of the players, etc., and the team's form. So, in one way, I can get that, I understand that. I don't know, Pep's not going to stay forever. He's not going to, we know that. He's probably coming into his twilight years. Yes, he has signed 2027, but many City fans genuinely believe, or a lot of the mainstream, etc. I've said I doubtfully will see out his contract. So, but he also wanted to see. He knew that he wanted to leave City on a good high. So, so for instance, and And of course, because we've been so busy with everything else, etc., even though it's in the back of my mind, even though, for instance, I haven't said anything on this channel, etc., I've always believed in the back of my mind, when is Pep going to go, for instance, and will we hear anything? Just before Christmas, 5 days till Christmas, etc., for instance, it's not the nice ideal Christmas present you want to hear, but for instance, you have to come to understanding, etc., he probably will go. Was there some truth in the story? Yeah, I do believe. I really do. I do believe, first of all, there was something. I don't like the press. I think mainstream Southern-based biased media, for instance, if you heard me utter these words more than once, I think a lot of them are very loyal to their own personal clubs. A lot are London-based, or Liverpool or United, the traditional clubs, as it were. And for instance, and they do slag off Man City a lot. So, but again, when you're looking at this, and even though, for instance, I was listening to the Manchester Evening News, and normally I wouldn't even pay attention, but they do a decent job. What's it called, on that typical City, even though it was a bit casual sometimes. What's it called? But for instance, and the Sam Mabiowski does know Manchester City, and but also because again, when I was reading something online about the Manchester Evening News when they were talking about the 115, and they you put it as breaking news 115, and you clicked on to find out what's the breaking news for 115, and there was no breaking news 115. It was just reiterating, going on what's already been said. But it's like, stop it, will you? And that's why you call it Manchester Evening News the Man United Evening News, because you don't know which side they're in. But with Sam Mabiowski, etc., and the guy, for instance, the presenter, for instance, you kind of get that kind of, for instance, they have he does have an idea and about it. So so I do believe there was talks, which is understandable. Because again, Pep's not going to be here forever, so it will leave, and we gotta kind of like get your heads in the main, and it's like, for instance, and then they were talking later on the what's it called, with Semenko, Simio, whatever, we're going for from January, and is he going to come to Man City because he's got a lot of suitors, Semenko, whatever, and Spurs are after him, not going there. Rags are after him, not going there. So he's got it between City and Liverpool. And where would he go? Would he go to City? Or I don't think Arsenal are in for him. But the fact is, for instance, and if he knows that Pep's leaving, for instance, and it's like a lot of players come to Man City to play for Pep. So if is Pep leaving at the end of the season? Is that going to affect our transfer policy? But according to Pep, he's not leaving. So and again, it's not whoever leaked it, and I think whoever heard it, etc. I'm sure it's going on behind the scenes, and I'm sure the board will be ready when Pep does go. And Pep's in his kind of flipping word, "I'm off, ciao," arrivederci, that kind of thing, or adios, as he would say. But I'm a little bit skeptical on it. So for instance, but I'm sure the board does know. For instance, I've got an idea. Me personally, I like to see Vincent Kompany playing, being the next manager, for instance. But it would be nice, for instance, a bit more clarity. And there's going to be some uncertainty. There's going to be it's going to be now till the end of the season. Now, for instance, if there's going to be a watch, regardless of what on the Man City shoulder of is this Pep's last season. So it's not. So for instance, but let's see what in the Man City website exactly had something to say or anything. So Pep Guardiola said he was pleased with the progress of the new look City. Because we did talk about football at the end of the day. And there was the West Ham press conference, but in City West Ham. But we still have a lot of work to do, right? Which is good, I think listening to Gabriel Abronjo, I need to mention that idiot. He said Pep looks tired. He looks tired. Oh God, and Crookie. Again, you can feel the bitterness between this lot. Sometimes you want to listen to a good footballing debate. So when you listen to Talk Sport, and you listen to. Pep always looks tired to me. He's never seemed more refreshed. I've never seen him more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I wish I could look like him. my Christ. And so yeah, I just don't get the and to come out with crap like that. He doesn't look tired at all. He looks happy and jolly. So, for instance, if he feels he's got work to do, maybe, I don't know. For instance, I'm sure he's in his mind, but he's got a job to do, and he's so focused on Manchester City. He talks about watching the game after each game for about 2 hours afterwards, and analysing each tactic or each thing of the game, etc., the previous game, and so he's still got that hunger, and you feel like he does. And he's been criticised a lot this season for marching onto the pitch and coaching other players. So if he's still got that hunger, that drive, that venom, he doesn't look tired. He looks more refreshed than ever. So it does feel a bit, he was got between. I think somebody said, what was it saying on, what's it called, on one of these former British manager, I can't remember the guy's name, and he said, well, he probably feels rejuvenated because this is his last season. That's like, for God's sake. Anyway, so let's see what else he had to say. So City and fan form run, winning the last 6 games across all competition and 13 of our last 16 matches. Yeah, we're a fantastic run. And they have taken us. That's taken us to second in the Premier League, just 2 points off the ass, and handily place in the Champions League phase. Yeah, so offences, we're in really good position in most things, really. Injuries are mounting up, but they're not massively long term. So, for instance, hopefully we'll see them back for Sunderland. So, what's it called? But after this, we'll have an 8-day rest, etc., until Forest. So, so the players can celebrate Christmas and can have which is good, really, because they used to play on Boxing Day, which I thought I used to love going to Boxing games, matches. I used to lived in Scandinavia, for instance, and I used to go fly over to England because I watched 3 games in a row. City on fire. That's taken us to the top of a bit. Okay. We changed throughout the squad in the last 12 months. Guardiola admitted, but he's surprised on how the Wales teams perform. Speaking in the press conference on Friday this weekend, we visitors struggling West Ham compared to the team. His great City side, he has dominated English football in the last parts of his 9.5 years. There's a bit younger. Yeah, he began. When Bonano came, for example, he played player that won the French league with Monaco, and he's a very important player for us. Many players came, but these will need to be a bit more. The process is a bit slower today, because they need time to settle. That's why I'm surprised that we're in the position we are. Determined in terms of belief, and the most important thing I have to say, we are us, and we're going to play with we are who we are. We are still in that position. Guardiola went on to explain how we worked on this side. Boss chasing continuous improvements with the squad. My relationship with the team and the background staff is massively important. The way it is a war every day. I go home, I want to be happy coming here in terms of football, and we can do better. For instance, when I see Brentford, one detail we have to improve is because there's many things that happened in a month that we can do better. So it just basically goes on to basically talks about Man City being better and better and better, which is a good thing. So for instance, that is the way he is, and that is what he's focused on now, which is what I want him to see. Pep Guardiola on the January transfer window. Last season on the transfer window was just one reason. We had no players, or players and no players. We need the vibe and energy. For instance, on whether the reports bother him about him leaving. No, I know my business. I know. I'm coming here to the press conference, and every 3 days you ask me the same. Same again last season. Was really tough last season. I didn't give up, I was there, and this season is much better in terms of many things, and I'm still here. I'm here. It depends on my feelings. My feelings right now is good. That's why I want to continue. It's going to change. Maybe, I don't know, but what I'm feeling right now is not to leave with these players. I'm going to continue as long as possible. So, when he comes out and says things like that, but he always uses it as the end of it. At the end of, whenever he says something, he said, but you never know. Like you're like, yeah, I'm staying, but you never know. It's like, God, what are you staying or going? What motivates me most is that I've done a lot. It's one thing I've always had to do. Watch the last game. Spend 2-3 hours analysing clips. So yeah. Anyway, so let's move on to the game just for the last 5 minutes. Okay. So first of all, we'll talk. Matheus Nunes has been chatting. I really enjoy. He's enjoying playing the right back. Everybody thought he'd be unhappy with that, but he's really enjoying it. In football's perspective, it's so different to midfield. Nowadays, I'm thinking it was the hardest position because you face the best players in each team at fullback. Yeah, the defensive work is much different compared to a midfielder. Yeah, you've had to learn that one hard. That's something that I really enjoy. The difference is I have to be focused at the time, looking at the line, cover support at the wing, come back as a fullback. I can play wide in the pocket, centre back or holding midfielder. The variety is something I enjoy and appreciate. Also makes me grow even more. Things can change during the game, and there's a lot of things that are different compared to playing midfield. I really enjoy it. Yeah, because he was actually playing midfield during the Brentford game as well. So must have been the first time in a long time. Pep Guardiola, I'm a weird guy. Savinio, I have never tried it. Bull riding. What the hell is he talking about there? Okay, I'm not moving on. I'm not talking now. Right. Okay. So so for instance, going on to the game a little bit. So again, I predict a 3-0 win. They've got whether they need to have a really good game against City, for instance. At the moment, etc. I just feel that we've got too much for them in midfield as well as in, for instance, in our forward line as well. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it. I just think, for instance, that we are in a really good position at the moment. So for instance, Jared Bowen, I think this is about their only real main threat against us. They've got two fullbacks out at AFCON. So, for instance, so that's not going to help them at all. So, for instance, I overall, I think, for instance, I expect us to go with the same team. I gave the teams out in yesterday's video, so for instance, and what I expected them to be after listening to the Nunes Espirito Santos. I do believe, for instance, of what he just clarified, exactly what we already knew, and again, we can't be complacent. We need to win the game. If we're going to basically really put the pressure on Arsenal, because then Arsenal win the game, we go top of the league, and also got to play at the Hill Dickinson against Everton, and more likely they'll probably win. I would say, but they need that pressure on them, and and then see what happens with Villa. So nobody's actually, do you know something in the media? Nobody's talking about the last game of the Man City season, and which is we're playing against Aston Villa. The Etihad. A replay, but nobody's mentioned it. I don't think that's just that much the mainstream media know about football or Man City as they do. Nobody's talking about the fact that we played Aston Villa, the last game of the season. So, I'll just go through the games and give my predictions. Newcastle Chelsea, first game. Newcastle needs to go, but I think Newcastle will bounce back and go there 2-1 for Newcastle. Chelsea and Enzo, sorry. Bournemouth, Burnley. I gotta go for a draw. On that one. I think Burnley are not as bad as what people think, etc. For instance, and I think they can back it out. Brighton against Sunderland. I'm gonna go for Sunderland's got to be biased about the win. I'm gonna go for a draw again. I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw as well on that one. Wolves against Brentford. you got to favour Brentford, even though Wolves played okay against Arsenal. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for Arsenal for Brentford. Spurs against Liverpool. This is a toughie. 7:30 kickoff. So I am going for Wolves, Spurs versus Liverpool. Ooh, I'm just going to go for Liverpool. No, I'm going to go for a draw. These two teams are difficult to predict right now. Everton, just go for a draw. 2-2 draw or something like that. It's a goal scoring draw. What's it called? Or Liverpool might just get it over the line there. What's it called? Because go 2-2 draw. Everton versus Arsenal. Again, 8 o'clock. 2 8 o'clock kickers. That's 3 o'clock in the morning, mate. Thanks very much. I can't. I'm not staying up for watching Everton Arsenal. I'm going for an Arsenal win. 2-1. For instance, Leeds Palace. I am going for a Leeds win. 2-1 for Leeds. Okay, so yeah, and then the Sunday, one at it. On Sunday. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is a stupid thing. Oh yeah, stupid incident. Anyway, so yeah, Sunday we'll talk about Sunday. But other than that, for instance, if you're going to the game, enjoy the game. I'll be watching the game on TV, and but other than that, and like and subscribe. Tell me what you're thinking. What's on your mind? Do you agree with me? We have to resigned ourselves. He will go. But if you have an amazing season, you can go. He can go with my blessing. If he wants to go, he needs to go. Then we just have to cope with it. It's just like a bad breakup. A breakup of a relationship. You just don't want him to go. Stay. Anyway, these things, the clubs comes first. Guys, love you, Olivia. True Blade time from Thailand. Like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.